Are you wondering if the real estate market's going to crash? Well, that's what we're talking about today. So let's dive right in. A recent survey of 1,500 consumers nationwide who were thinking about either buying or selling real estate soon found that 77% of them feel we are in a real estate bubble. My name's Harry Moore, and I'm an associate real estate broker with EXP Realty. And today we're talking about what's going on in the housing market. It's understandable that people are wondering about the market, what with double-digit appreciation and the frantic pace of sales. In some ways, it certainly feels like a run-up to the crash of the early 2000s. But this market is different, and here are 4 key reasons why. It may be hard to believe, but housing is actually more affordable than it was during the housing boom. There are 3 pieces to the affordability puzzle: the price of the home, wages earned by purchasers at the time, and the current mortgage rate. Conventional lending standards say that a purchaser should not spend more than 28% of their gross income on their mortgage payment. 15 years ago, prices were high, wages were low, and mortgage rates were over 6%. Today, prices are still high. Wages, however, have increased, and the mortgage rate, even after the recent spike, is still well below 6%. So that means the average purchaser today pays less of their monthly income towards their mortgage payment than they did back then. If you'd like to see the latest affordability report from Adam Data, you'll see a link. Just click on the link below. Here's a chart showing the difference between now and then. Affordability isn't as strong as it was last year for sure, but it's still much better than it was during the boom. Number 2, mortgage standards were much more relaxed during the boom. If costs were so prohibitive, how did all those houses sell during the housing boom? Well, during the bubble, it was much easier to get a mortgage than it is today. According to credit.org, a credit score of between 550 and 619 is considered poor. Buyers can still qualify for a mortgage with a credit score that low, but they're considered riskier borrowers and they're going to pay a premium for that. Here's a graph showing the volume of mortgages issued to purchasers with a credit score less than 620 during the housing boom and for the 14 years since. Mortgage standards are nothing like they were the last time. Purchasers that got a mortgage over the last decade are much more qualified. And so let's take a look at what that means going forward. The foreclosure situation is nothing like it was during the crash. The most obvious difference is the number of homeowners that were facing foreclosure after the housing bubble burst. Here are the numbers during the crash compared to today. There's no doubt that 2020 and 2021 numbers are impacted and artificially depressed by the forbearance program. However, there are less than 800,000 homeowners left in the program today, and most of those people will be able to work out some sort of repayment plan with their banks. The government and the banks learned from the Great Recession, and they had programs in place to protect homeowners. Today, homeowners are equity rich. They're not tapped out. In the run-up to the housing bubble, some homeowners were using their houses like ATM machines, just pulling money out constantly as values moved up. But then, when values began to flatten out and fall, many of those homeowners found themselves in a negative equity position really fast. And some of those people just walked away from their homes. That led to a rash of distressed property listings, foreclosures, and short sales, which sold at huge discounts, and those lowered the values of other homes in the areas. Prices have risen nicely over the past few years, but generally homeowners haven't been tapping into it like they did the last time. In fact, the national tappable equity has increased to a record $9.9 trillion, with the average home equity now standing at $300,000. Most sellers are in a very different equity position than they were back in 2007. If you'd like to see some interesting data about home equity nationwide, click on the link below to see the CoreLogic Home Equity Insight Report. Number 4, we don't have a surplus of homes on the market, we have a shortage. A balanced real estate market has historically been defined as 6 months worth of inventory. Around here, I think the numbers are a little different, probably slightly lower, but we'll use the 6 months. Anything more than that means that it's a buyer's market, and that's when prices start to fall. Anything less than that is a seller's market, and that usually means price appreciation. As the next graph shows, there were too many homes for sale from 2007 to 2010. Many of which were short sales and foreclosures, and that caused prices to tumble. Today, there's a shortage of inventory, which is causing acceleration in home values. Inventory is nothing like the last time. Prices are rising because there's a healthy demand for home ownership. At the same time, there's a shortage of homes for sale. None of this, in my opinion, precludes a market shift. Markets inevitably change, and this one will too. But I think a crash like we saw back in 2007 is unlikely. So there you go. Some things to think about as you consider what's going on in today's housing market. If you're thinking about buying or selling, you may want to check out my home buyer and home seller guides. You can click on the links down below and get copies for yourself. If you have any other questions about the real estate market, you can call, text, or email me, or leave a comment in the remarks, and I'll get back to you. If you'd like to see my most recent video, you can click over here. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel so you get notified whenever new videos come out, click over there. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.